Science tells you styrofoam is bad to digest, and so is milk for cats. They can't digest any of that type of white creamy substance. It's not good.
Styrofoam is bad for you.
Styrofoam is bad for you. Styrofoam is bad for you. You won't have a choice. You will die slow from cancer. It will start to grow. It will start to grow into your lungs. You can't breathe. I'm sorry. The medical report has brought you bad news, and you don't have any choice but to face the consequence of eating styrofoam. Eating styrofoam. Eating styrofoam. Eating styrofoam.
How are we doing, everybody? Sandwich Pants here again today. It's a bit more frequent than I usually do my streams, but I figured we could do something today. Because there is a bit of important news. One of the things I've pulled up here is actually the ending of the Daily Wire election coverage. I mean, yeah, it's over a week old at this point, but there's some stuff I noticed when listening to it earlier that I kind of wanted to touch on. Problem is I didn't get any timestamps. A bit more is some speculation on some other news that is in the title about Pelosi stepping down. And we will go over that, along with what I believe would be who I believe would be a good replacement leader for the Democrats, who might actually have a chance of succeeding in being elected. And the other is who I feel like they might actually go with. And there's a few options on that. So, I figure we can get started here in a moment. I always like to let the intro of these be a minute or so, because by the time I get around to the 4 or 5 minute mark, I could just drop an F-bomb and it would not even be an issue. But I don't like to do that constantly, you know? So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. And what we're going to start with is the election stuff from the Daily Wire.
Latino shifts and some black shifts, so that we've said earlier that those appear to be people who are running from the Democratic Party, not so much running toward the Republican Party, but certainly significant numbers of people tonight voted Republican either for the first time in their lives or for the first time in a long time. So how do you hold on to those people? You know, if they're running away from what the Democratic Party has become, that's nice, but it would be especially nice if we had something to present to them that would...
You know, it would be a mistake, by the way. DeSantis, no doubt, a competent, highly competent governor, but he did some very bold social moves. I mean, this Disney thing.
Right. Yeah, man.
And when he did that thing with Disney, the Republicans were whining about it. I don't know.
Man, no.
And I thought, this is a good move.
I agreed that it was a good move. The thing about DeSantis is that he had established such unbelievable credibility with the public in Florida that they were willing to go along with him in picking social issues. It didn't look like a distraction from his governance. It looked like an addition to his governance. Very often what you'll see from politicians...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, very often you'll see from politicians, like, I'm doing a crap job governing. Therefore, here's a red meat issue. And they just throw it out there. You see it from Democrats with abortion. Or you see it from Republicans.
His broader point about finding a red meat issue to throw out at... to distract from their terrible governance. It's not exactly wrong. However, keep in mind, abortion isn't something that Democrats brought up. It's something Republicans brought up. Constantly, all the fucking time. Abortion, trans issues, which they're vehemently opposed to, gay people, which they're vehemently opposed to, immigration, which they're vehemently opposed to, with the caveat of they don't care if it's white people immigrating. They'll claim it's illegal immigration, and then they'll make arguments to just stop all immigration. So, you know. So, no. Republicans do this way more than Democrats. Democrats, they don't usually have to worry too much about bad governance. I mean, they're not particularly good, but they're a hell of a lot better than Republicans. So, they don't have to worry too much about that. They don't have to reach nearly as often for red meat issues or for social issues, I should say, to avoid their record on voting and stuff. They can normally bring up, like, hey, I did this for the economy. I did this for you. I did this. I was able to do this. I got this through. Versus Republicans who are like, Democrats want to do this and Democrats want to do this, and it's radical socialism. So, yes and no. Republicans do this. Democrats, not really.
Republicans sometimes on sort of fringe things that are considered fringe social issues. For DeSantis, it was part and parcel of his broader agenda, which is, I stand with parents. And that was built on top of I'm not going to force you to mask your kids. I'm not going to take your kids out of school. Yep. I'm going to make sure that your kids aren't forced to get a vax. Right? I'm going to do all of these things for you. And on top of that, I'm going to make sure your kids aren't indoctrinated.
And he did it.
And he did. And that's why, again, they would do these polls in Florida.
Florida with the highest death rate from COVID. Florida with the worst education. Florida with some of the worst infrastructure. Florida with some of the highest food insecurity. Florida with some of the highest costs of living. Florida, New York, and California are the three highest in cost of living. DC maybe, but no. Like, Florida's not doing well. Florida's just lockstep with conservatives on social issues, which is why we should have all conservatives move to Florida and then exile it from the union, and they can just be Florida.
And the National Democrats would be like, this is so crazy, it's so radical, and then they'd pull these...
Oh, and they can get their border wall there. Because we don't want them here. And then the remaining liberals and progressives and socialists and anarchists can spread out, and then anarchists can work on doing the community stuff super well and not be, you know, potentially assaulted by a random conservative who's like, this sounds like communist shit. They might get assaulted by a random liberal, but you're less likely to get shot because liberals don't like guns.
These issues in Florida, and they'd find these were actually real popular issues in Florida. But it's a different thing when Ron DeSantis, very competent governor who's able to handle a hurricane, does it, versus when Doug Mastriano, quasi-crazy person, apparently, does it in Pennsylvania. When Doug Mastriano campaigns on that, people are like, well, yeah, but that's also attached to, like, all this other stuff that you're saying over here. It's an adjunct to sort of the main event. But
to Bill's point...
No. What? No.
And, the press, whatever you do as a Republican, the press are going to ask you, well, what about a 12-year-old girl who gets pregnant when she's raped by her father?
Right.
And they're going to ask you those questions. And I think that those are the things, every Republican who gets that question, anybody could have told them he was going to get that question. They're all like, yeah. And you have to have a holistic approach. You're absolutely right about this, Ben. We have no argument about the competence issue. And I think it's everything with a politician. These guys aren't supposed to be executives. They're supposed to run things. They're supposed to run the thing that they're given. But you have to have a holistic, a visionary kind of approach.
This is where I think that I keep coming back to the same theme of competence, because I think that the Democrats' pitch on democracy doesn't hold, and it wasn't going to hold.
Yeah.
But the one thing it did is it.
What? The Democrats' pitch on democracy doesn't hold? I'm pretty sure a majority of the people in this country are in favor of democracy. There's a minority of people who don't like democracy, a very small one, the far right, but no, most people like democracy. Most people who aren't absolutely fucking just brain rotted from conservatism recognize that this country is a democracy. It is a representative democratic republic. That's what it is. It's not just, and a republic is a form of democracy. They don't know what they're talking about. That's the problem.
Made some people in the Republican Party look clownish. And when you're able to make the other party look clownish,
It's always good.
it's a very positive thing for your own party, right? The whole art of politics is make it very difficult to vote for your opponent and make it very easy to vote for you.
Yeah.
And the Democrats did not make it easy to vote for themselves, but they did make it kind of hard to vote for some of the Republicans, right? They did
Wait, Grassley's still alive? Jesus. And they don't have to make it hard to vote for Republicans. They don't. They mostly run on their own fucking policies.
fairly good job at labeling some of the Republicans, and the Republicans did a good job of falling right into those boxes sometimes in competitive House races, in a lot of these Senate races. And Republicans need to understand that it's easy to make it hard to vote for the Democrats. That part's the easy part, because what they're doing is so crazy and so nutty. But you actually have to make it really easy to vote for you. And what
the Democrats just had to make it hard to vote for Republicans. They didn't have to make it easy to vote for themselves. But Republicans, you don't just have to make it hard to vote for Democrats, because that's the easy part. No. You're saying the opposite of what... He's putting forth two contradictory things, because if you notice, he's saying the Democrats can win just by making it harder, making it, like, harder for people to vote for Republicans in, like, a moral sense. But they don't have to campaign for themselves. But Republicans have to make it hard to vote for Democrats, which is the easy part, according to him. But also, they have to make it easy to vote for themselves, like to get votes for them, by presenting something, which is literally all politics. But Ben is very good at the word salad game, and he can put forth kind of contradictory things. No, Democrats campaign for their own merits. They also happen to be able to look at Republicans and go, y'all do this shit. And the shit that y'all do just happens to be abhorrent enough that any reasonable person goes, no, I'm not for that.
makes it easy to vote for you is that you appear as though you can do the job. You don't appear as though your chief mechanism is attention getting and I must be on TV.
Or mean, like
or
when
mean.
Carrie Lake deferred to that woman whose son had died. So I'm not going to.
I agree. You can even outlast some of the sort of more fringy positions that are perceived, like the election stuff from Carrie Lake. You can outlive that if you are perceived as not mean. If you're perceived as baseline competent.
Ronald Reagan, you could hate everything Reagan stood for, but it's virtually impossible to hate the guy because he just didn't carry any venom with him. You know, it was just clearly a good-natured guy.
I mean, that's the Oz campaign. So the Oz campaign is.
No. What fucking bubble does he live in? You just can't hate Ronald Reagan because he was just a good-natured guy. No, I fucking despise Ronald Reagan. I would shit on his corpse, given the opportunity, I would shit on Ronald Reagan's corpse. Fuck Ronald Reagan. Straight up. No, it's very easy to hate Reagan. I mean, there was a lot he did, but one of the big ones is, telling the government to not do anything about HIV or AIDS because he saw it as God's punishment.
Republicans should engage on social issues, particularly the stuff about kids. And that's what Glenn Youngkin showed. At the core of Glenn Youngkin,
as good at governing as we wish he had been, but he was good at like visionary politics, and you can say anything you want about him, but I understood what he represented when he was on stage, and a lot of times with these guys I just don't, and I think that just reactionary gestures and basic, all capitalism all the time are not winning ideas.
No, nobody said that all capitalism all the time is going to win, and I agree with you that Republicans
Yeah, no, people fucking hate capitalism now.
should engage on social issues, particularly the stuff about kids. And that's what Glenn Youngkin showed. At the core of Glenn Youngkin was a guy who was not scary. Democrats tried to make him scary, and they couldn't make him scary.
Right.
And Democrats are trying to make a bunch of candidates scary, and they're succeeding in making them scary because they're not good candidates. I mean, I'm looking at these Ohio results. J.D. Vance won. That is a red state. He did not win a double-digit victory. He should be winning a double-digit victory in Ohio. That is an underperformance by J.D. Vance, even if he wins the seat, which he did. Ohio 13. That was a Biden plus 3 seat. Trump endorsed a beauty queen over there, and Amelia Sykes held the seat. It's a Biden plus 3. Biden's at 43% approval in blood-red state like Ohio now. Macy Captor is in Ohio 9. That is a Trump seat. That's a seat Trump won. She's a Democrat. She held the seat against another Trump candidate. Okay, this is not just a. Well, this is the three scenarios I laid out at the front: red trickle, red tide, red wave. This is a red trickle. Yeah. This is not a red tide. This is not a red wave. This is at best a red trickle.
So I want to go to our friend Megyn Kelly, who's joining us right now to get a little bit of insight. We've all been talking, Megan, for the last 5 hours nonstop. None of us have gotten up from our seats. We're loopy.
Fucking Megyn Kelly. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah, it was only like a red trickle in the House only. We maintain Senate as long as Warnock wins the runoff. That's okay. This is going to be some breaking shit. But what was it? You know what? I've kind of lost interest.
We're inarticulate. There's actually slurred speech happening. Please save us. Give us a...
That this is a big night, okay? Can we just remember that just about 4 weeks ago, it looked like absolute devastation compared to where we were a couple months before that. The Democrats had the wind at their back after Dobbs. Trump dominated August with Mar-a-Lago. The Republicans' numbers were free falling from astronomical heights back down to really dire numbers. And then, like a miracle, in mid-September, things started to change and their fortunes started to look better again. And let's say they don't win another seat in the House, or in the Senate, that they don't win the Senate tonight, which I still think they will. But if they don't, and they only win the House, it's huge. It's obstruction. It stops the agenda. There will be no more Inflation Reduction Act nonsense. January 6th distractions are over. Their primetime show is done. Mm-hmm. Like, they needed to be stopped. They were out of control.
Yeah, no, that is the big one that I'm worried about. Losing the House means we lose the Jan 6 committee. There's no committee for Trump to have to well, okay. They don't swap out until January, so if Trump is able to be convicted before January, then we're good.
And at a minimum, it appears that the American people have said, and seen, on the nonsense that we've been witness to for the past 2 years. So
No, they didn't. No, you... Lost 8 seats. 8 seats. Fetterman. Porter decimated. Not really decimated. Nobody actually really came swinging through with their victory. Gabriel Vasquez, New Mexico district. Oh, it's New Mexico. But like, literally nobody on this list has gotten a 60% win. much less a 70%. Yeah, it's all in the 50s. That's so much fucking closer. And that's bad.
So that is cause for celebration. I'm with Elon Musk. I like divided government too. Whether they win the Senate or not, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I could make a good case if I wanted a Republican president in 2024, that it is better for the GOP to not be in control of both branches of Congress. The more they control, the more they're going to get blamed. The more I've watched this for many years now from the anchor's desk. The more they control, the more the Democrats have their foil to say, we were going to do all these amazing things for you, except for that evil Mitch McConnell, and that evil Kevin McCarthy. It's going to be a lot tougher if they control the Senate and the GOP controls the House. Right now, I'm feeling good because I think we're getting divided government. I don't really care that much about whether the Republicans control both houses of Congress. I think you're right about candidate quality, but I think we're also learning that the Democrats are truly deeply ideological on some of these crazy issues.
That's right.
And
name an issue. Name a singular fucking issue. And I'll give you a spoiler. They never do. Ben Shapiro brought up abortion one time in this deal as a policy, like an actual issue. And yeah, the right of people to decide not to have kids is pretty fucking big. Oh, but you shouldn't have sex if you don't want... No, fuck you. I like to have sex. I like to bust nut, alright? And guess what? Women do too. Which is the entire reason for, anything. Men, women, non-binary people, pretty much everybody likes to orgasm. Most people. Most. I would say about 98, 99% like to orgasm. And guess what? The entire point is to punish people with vaginas for having sex. That's it.
the Republicans are just going to have to get real. They're going to have to get in there and get dirty and fight those battles where the Dems are.
And it was always a bad map for us in the Senate. We've known that for the last 2 years. We knew that this would be the hard one, and that things are more advantageous for us just from a straight map point of view. 2 years from now, there is a real opportunity for Republicans to have a great 2024. And to your point, if we stop their agenda in the House, if we stop the Biden agenda in the House, just that alone will be cause to continue drinking well into whatever ultimate date they finally stop counting votes.
The only big thing, the biggest thing that would be looming if the Dems controlled the Senate would be a Supreme Court retirement or death, right? A Supreme Court vacancy of some kind, because obviously the Democrats would control that. I don't know of one that is pending on the GOP side. I don't think Clarence Thomas has any plans of retiring under Joe Biden. Now, God forbid something worse happened to him. Yeah, but still, it's 6-3 right now. So, I mean, forgive me for just being all about the numbers and not the humanity, but there's a little cushion, very little, right? Because John Roberts isn't exactly the most reliable. I'm just saying, like, the downside to the GOP not winning the Senate is really not that.
Okay, so notice they're looking at what's supposed to be an apolitical body and going Republican, 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 Republican. So we've got this in the bag, even if, one of the justices on our side fucking dies and gets replaced under Biden. We've got some cushion, but John Roberts isn't, he's not reliable. Why is he not reliable? Is it because he has gone against the most extreme portions of your fucking party? And also, I like how they're talking about how, Democrats are absolutely ideological on some of these issues. Yeah, Republicans are too, just on the wrong side of those issues. Because Republicans are dumb. Conservatism is a brain rot. It makes you dumber. It does. It just does. You're also more fearful.
At large. I realize it's a disappointment for people who wanted the tsunami, but look, remember how you felt September 1st.
Listen, you're exactly right that Republicans should certainly be relieved if they end up with the House, because anything that stops Biden's agenda is great. I do wonder what you think about the sort of big winner of the night is going to be on the Republican side, DeSantis, who just crushed it in Florida. He's winning by 20 points in Florida and dragging the entire Republican Party to victory across Florida. Meanwhile, I just want to read you. This is Donald Trump's only tweet since the election on Truth Social. You ready for this? Here it is. This is Donald Trump's response to the election so far. Joe O'Dea lost big, capital B-I-G. Make America great again. Joe O'Dea is the Republican candidate in Colorado who was not sufficiently pro-Trump. That is his only comment so far on the election, is that Joe O'Dea lost big in Colorado. Make America great again by keeping Michael Bennett in the Senate. I don't know how this is going to play. Like, at a certain point, aren't people tired of this? I'm sorry. Like,
It's a really good question. That's what's on my mind.
Like, I'm sorry. This is extraordinarily exhausting. He spent the last 2 days and a half attacking Ron DeSantis, who's the only big winner of the election, and who expended actual resources trying to get other senators elected. And then his first statement during the election is ripping on Joe O'Dea. That's his move.
Okay,
Yeah.
can I tell you what you sound like to me, Ben? You sound like there's no way the Republican Party is going to stand by him after that attack on John.
Oh, no,
McCain.
I'm not saying that.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not. Yeah.
Right, it's just another. No, they are not going to get sick of it. No, they are not going to abandon him over this. No, the hardcore Trump faithful is not mad about any of that, and they don't.
Yeah, because they don't care about anything. They don't know anything. All they care about is, made the liberal look mad. While their fucking prices shoot through the fucking roof, their tax dollars are spent on some of the most corrupt shit, and a president not doing actual fucking work, their money getting stripped and handed over to large corporations and the CEOs of those corporations. Just all this shit, as this country falls apart around them, they will sit there and guffaw because it made some liberals mad. It's pathetic. It's seriously some of the most pathetic fucking behavior I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. Feminist now. I've been a feminist. Camel, I've been a feminist the entire time I've had this channel doing political stuff. What? Do you not pay attention to anything I say and do? At all? I don't know. I don't get you, Camel.
Really love Ron DeSantis anywhere near as much as they love Trump, so he can get away with it.
You don't think that they're going to hold Trump responsible for picking candidates by whether or not they think he was truly elected or not? You
No,
think
I don't. I think
This is
that's
the most
a
depressing
brand
thing
of
you said all
Yeah,
day.
that's pretty
Like,
depressing.
you're encouraging me that we kept the House, and now you're depressing me that the former president who's lost his
Again,
Senate
I
seats in
said
Georgia
it-
nominated Dr. Oz,
That's right.
Herschel Walker, Blake Masters,
I said it
and
earlier.
Don Baldock.
I said it
for the Senate.
earlier. If
I just-
you
I'm
should
not
be,
even drink.
you should not be. He should be disqualified from leading the Republican Party because he went out of his way to cost us the Senate. When he lost the election in
Yes,
2020,
yes.
he went out of his way to make sure the Republicans did not control the Senate. He told people for a month, do not vote. He was not disqualified on that basis. Why on a night that's going to be framed? Listen, the Republicans are going to frame tonight as a victory, no matter what. If we get the House, that's enough. We'll frame it as a victory. In a victory, we're certainly not going to blame Donald Trump for things that we wouldn't even blame him for when it ended in our defeat. I think you're
Well, and
absolutely
it's not,
right.
Let's not forget, it's not just Blake Masters and Don Baldock. It's also Carrie Lake and J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
And they'll have enough, on there. And we don't know about Herschel Walker. He's complicated. But anyway, he's got enough in the win column, to spin it. And let's face it, his ardent fans don't really need to be spun anyway. They're already with him. Like, whatever you say, we're grateful. We owe it all to you. DeSantis owes it all to you. You just proceed as you want. The only way forward is for Trump to decide he doesn't want to run. There's no one who can take him down.
Man, I mean,
And yet he lost to Joe Biden. He lost to Joe. Nobody can take him down, but he lost. And he's already announced that he's going to run in 2024. And he's been getting heckled because people went to his thing to be entertained. And they're like, Trump, this is boring. You're boring us. We came here to be entertained.
I hate to disagree with you, and I hope that you're wrong. Obviously, I think that because Trump can't hold himself back, he will take a pot shot at DeSantis within the next 48 hours.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I mean, just without a doubt. And I'm sorry, but the only thing that maybe I'm too online, or maybe I have too many Republican friends, but the only thing Republicans feel good about tonight is Florida. It's like the only thing that Republicans feel like really good. Now, that's just like, okay, we can console ourselves. We'll do the New York Times calming ourselves by putting our face in cold water thing, and then we'll realize that we have the House. The only thing that people are truly pumped up about is the fact that Florida was great for Republicans tonight. When Trump goes out there within the next week, because he's declaring for the presidency, and he starts just ripping on the only state that did well for Republicans while celebrating Joe O'Dea losing in Colorado to a Democrat, like,
All right, I'm going to make you feel better about that,
will someone like be sane, like for 5 seconds? And
Here's I got you, Ben. Here, so I believe it or not, I recognize all of Donald Trump's flaws. I do, but he's polling better and better in these hypothetical matchups against Joe Biden or some hypothetical Democrat. I am not convinced that he cannot beat a Democrat, that he's not the best choice to take on that role. He is the 800-pound gorilla. He knows even better than DeSantis how to fight. He's got a way bigger name recognition and some brand loyalty. The GOP will get on board with him. And unlike somebody like DeSantis, if there's a fight, his core faithful will be out there for him. They will get to the polls for Donald Trump.
That is fair.
And the rest of the Republicans will come home the way they did the last time. And I know that he's a little untethered. But if I could refer you back to the actual policy.
You mean he's absolutely insane? And, like, I do think he needs actual help. But he would never take it. There is a chance that Megyn Kelly is correct on the fact that if he does run and there is a fight, he will come out on top between the Republican candidates and all the other Republicans, like the little cucks they are, will fall right in line.
Policies that he put in place, most of us really like them. So
Yeah. That reminds me of stamps.
Wow.
that wasn't.
But it's been consistent. You said, well, the messaging is kind of varying depending on the candidate. Well, it shouldn't, right? It shouldn't. There is a cause that we all believe in, that the reason we're sitting in these
But there's
chairs.
a big difference between, Oz runs a Chamber of Commerce race, I'm going to lower your taxes and sell the culture down the river, and J.D. Vance and Blake Masters run these extremely cultural, nationally minded, pro-family campaigns. And who knows, Blake right now doesn't seem to be doing very well. J.D. obviously won the race. So, but those messages are quite divergent.
Yeah, but Morning in America with Ronald Reagan in '84, you're 5,000 votes, a complete sweep, everything. Yeah. And you've got...
He keeps going back to fucking Ronald Reagan. Y'all would control everything. I'm a little confused by this. I'm not sure what you're responding to. Could we get some clarity on that, Camel?
Make America Great Again in 2016. These are positive messages, and they're clear. We know what it means. They're not policy messages. They're virtually spiritual messages, right? This is the key to victory, and all you have to do is just look at the scoreboard. You look at the electoral map for Reagan's 2 wins, right? It's unbelievable, and it's because he came into the race with very few negatives compared to Trump. He wasn't nearly as annoying as Trump can be, but mostly he came out with I have a vision for America that's a better place. He didn't come out running against Hubert Humphrey or Johnson or Carter. He didn't even run against. He basically, Carter wasn't even there. It's like, you've had your chance. He came out with this, it's morning in America. We can always renew this nation. It's not the end of our days. It's not our finest hour. We're just getting started. And that resonated with everybody. And so there are people who are still voting Republican because of how much they love Ronald Reagan. And the thing about Donald Trump is he has the ability to generate tremendous excitement because people believe he's not beholden to anybody, and I believe that too, certainly. But
except for Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran. Anyways, I'm bored with this. It's a bunch of dumb shit, and then they bring Dennis Prager on. You know what? He's in the title or in the tags.
Coaches, when you should win the game and you lose, then most people would look for a new coach or a bunch of new coaches. However, it's so much larger than any one individual. Why do all of you and I, and we're not alone, why do we understand what is at stake with Democrats and the left winning, and that is not conveyed by the Republican Party as a rule? Tell me. That's the riddle. Why do we understand and they don't?
I can take a stab at an answer to that, Dennis. It's because Washington, D.C. is on the East Coast. It's because the kinds of people who can afford, generally speaking, to make a run for public office have already had success in their life. And most of them in that success have moved to urban settings, they've moved to coastal settings, and their own children don't share the values that the party purports to represent. And so you end up in this very interesting situation where, Drew and I talk about this sometimes. It's true for everyone here except Matt. But we're coastal guys. We've all spent 20 years in LA, or Ben's spent his entire life in Southern California. You've spent your entire professional life in Southern California. We are not rural Texans. We're not rural Tennesseans. We're not rural panhandle of Florida Floridians. I think part of what distinguishes us, perhaps, living in the environments that we've had, is that we have some sort of character trait which has allowed us to be, perhaps we're contrarians. And so in the environment of living in LA, if it radicalized us even further to the right. But I think that isn't the reaction that most people in those environments have. I think the longer you serve in DC, the longer you're in party leadership, the more removed you become from the sensibilities of the people that you represent, the more removed you become from the sort of traditional conservatism. We might argue about some of the disagreements, but the general things that we're all trying to promote. And the more your kids go to very nice schools and your kids have very liberal educations, and they're just you're surrounded, your friends, your young staff. In all of these ways, you're being pulled.
Okay, what's funny about that? And we're just going to cut him off here. For one, he's right. People like him, they see something from the left, doesn't matter what it is, they could be liberals even, and they will shit themselves and run further to the right. Meanwhile, education is, well, it's not liberal education, it's just education. They're just disconnected from reality because they're conservative. That's not because they're conservative, but being conservative tends to mean you are disconnected from reality. At least when you're older like they are, and Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles, and wealthy and conservative disconnect from reality. It's just kind of the case. Anyways, here's what we got next. Oh wait, I meant to leave this open because I wanted to watch the shark video. Shark.
This also means
Speaker Pelosi says she will step down as party leader after 2 decades at the top. Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who shattered the marble ceiling to become the first woman to lead the U.S. House, announced Thursday she will step down from party leadership. With great confidence in our caucus, I will not seek re-election to Democratic leadership in the next Congress. For me, the hour has come for a new generation to lead the Democratic caucus that I so deeply respect. That should have happened fucking 10 years ago. I'm grateful that so many are ready and willing to shoulder this awesome responsibility. Continue to represent her San Francisco district in the House. In her remarks, Pelosi warned that democracy is majestic, but it is fragile, and said voters in 2022 sent a message to Congress that they would not support those who supported violence or insurrection. She also applauded the chamber for becoming more diverse over the course of her 35-year career. When she first entered Congress in 1987, there were 12 women in the Democratic caucus, and now there are 90, and we want more. What about people of color? Yeah, they did defy historical expectations because normally the incumbents in the midterms get fucking swept. Democrats normally, if Democrats have the presidency, House, and Senate, and then midterms come around, they usually get swept and they lose the Senate and the House. And instead, they barely lost the House 8 seats, and they might have gained in the Senate. To self-term limit after Democrats won the majority in 2018, and she became the first speaker since the legendary Sam Rayburn to claim the speakership twice. She did claim it twice. She's the first woman, so she's also like she's going to be very well regarded by history for some of these things, I think. There's been a quiet desire among rank-and-file Democrats to elect a younger slate of leadership to replace Pelosi, who is 82, and the two other top House Democrat leaders, Representative Steny Hoyer and Representative Jim Clyburn, who are also in their 80s. Hoyer's also not. Hakeem Jeffries, okay. Top of the list is Jeffries, Catherine Clark, and Pete Aguilar. All three serve in lower tier leadership roles now and are interested in moving up the ladder. Jeffries, who's 52, Clark is 59, and Aguilar, who is 43, would make an African American, a white woman, and a Hispanic. Wow. The new faces of the party. Adam Schiff is also mulling a leadership bid. No. Don't you fucking do it, Schiff. You're not even in one of the people I was considering as a possibility. Don't you do it. However, Hakeem Jeffries is actually... Okay, so I've got these pulled up, but we'll do this at the end. Because Hakeem Jeffries is one of the people that I was thinking would be like somebody that had a good chance of winning and wouldn't be too bad in that position, with Ro Khanna also being there. I didn't expect Catherine Clark or Pete Aguilar. Schiff, I was just hoping I wasn't going to mention him because I don't think he has a chance. With only a 5-seat majority, the Speaker helped muscle through Biden's legislative accomplishments, a pandemic aid bill, a bipartisan infrastructure bill, legislation boosting production of semiconductor chips, and a measure lowering prescription drug costs and investing in climate programs. Na, 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 na. All right, so who all did I actually consider? So if you scroll down, Ro Khanna, because he's fairly popular, I think, and he's fairly progressive. I didn't even consider Pete Aguilar, not even gonna lie. Ted Lieu kind of crossed my mind. Karen Bass. Joseph Neguse. Eleanor Holmes Norton. Demings lost the race. Schultz is hated too much by the voters. No. Krishnamurthy, I thought might have a chance. Terry Bustos might have had a chance. Sharice Davids probably doesn't. Steny Hoyer is not. I figured Jamie Raskin would have a good chance. But if they're looking for younger members, Ayanna Pressley is younger than 60. Tlaib is younger than 60. Tlaib's younger than 50. Cori Bush. AOC. I hate to say it, Gottheimer might also have a decent chance of winning, even though he's not very good. AOC is too inexperienced, but Hakeem Jeffries is probably a perfect fit, honestly. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Speaker of the House. That'd be a fucking trip. Or leader of the Democratic caucus. That'd be a trip, but no. Alright, Shark. Thank you for the content that you post. I'm going to do that. Everybody go watch Shark.
That he was lying to like the FBI and the National Library and everything. Trump's motive in Mar-a-Lago case seen as ego and not money. Investigators see ego, not money, as Trump's motive on classified papers. Federal agents and prosecutors have came to the belief that former President Donald Trump's motive for allegedly taking the papers and classified documents was largely his ego and desire to hold on to materials as trophies or mementos, according to people familiar with the matter. As part of the investigation, authorities reviewed the classified documents and everything. The review is not found an apparent business advantage to the types of classified documents that Trump in Trump's possession. These people said FBI interviews with the witnesses so far so that they do not point to any nefarious effort by Trump to leverage or sell or use government secrets. Instead, the former president seemed motivated by a more basic desire not to give up what he believed was his property. These people said. So yes.
Okay, that's literally all I needed to watch of that for this segment. This thing that I'm covering here. Ego. I honestly was worried. That was my worst case scenario. Well, no. Yeah, no, it was my worst case scenario because, like, anything else would make kind of some sense. Like, yeah, he stole them so that he could hold state secrets over other people and, like, maybe use them for blackmail or try and sell them or whatever, or get negotiations for help with re-election from foreign leaders. But, like, this was something I did not anticipate. Well, I did anticipate, and it was literally the thing I hoped wasn't the case. His fucking ego. It's his ego. God damn, dude. That's ridiculous, okay? Absolutely ridiculous. I don't get it. This makes no sense to me. Okay, I have something I need to do. I will be... stuff I can do. Shoutouts. Yeah, let's go here. Because I want that. I want those recommendations to stay the same. Okay, it's still there. Good. Come here. I'm subscribed so I get notifications whenever whenever people post to try and. I'm not the only one who thought of it. Anyways, I subscribed because I don't have an email tied to this channel. It's actually my cousin and I, and we're doing a podcast about neurodivergence that we're working on. So the next one we're going to be recording today, and the first one is uploaded right now. we were going to call it flautistic, but there was no reason to. And also, it was kind of a placeholder name. So, we called it the Awesome Spectrum. Anyways, if you want to check out that stuff, go over there. If you want to hear more of the music stuff that played in the beginning, you go here to the Flat Ones, because this is also my band. So yeah. We got like here. It's all improv, pretty much. Everything on there is improv. So you can enjoy what we come up with off on the fly. And once we actually start getting finished material, it will be uploaded to our Instagram. We'll have some additional stuff that we'll post onto our Patreon whenever people actually decide to join it. Outside of that, I think I'm going to go ahead and just call it here. Very short stream today. The next stream that I do, I will be playing some Phantasy Star Online 2, most likely, because that game is fun. So I hope you enjoyed. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Science tells you styrofoam is bad to digest, and so is milk for cats. They can't